Today, we're gonna deconstruct the grandiose narcissist. Type, that classic, super charismatic person you always see in the movies. They're pretty much what everyone pictures when they hear the word narcissist. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been completely swept off your feet by someone who just seemed perfect, only to find yourself feeling, well, confused and kind of small later on? If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. And we're about to break down exactly why that happens. Here's our roadmap. First, we'll get into what makes a textbook narcissist. Then we'll look at why they are so incredibly alluring. After that, we'll cover the red flags, dig into where this behavior comes from, and finally, we'll unpack that emotional trap that makes it so hard to just walk away. Let's jump right in. What exactly is the textbook narcissist? Well, when most of us think of narcissism, this is the person who comes to mind. This is the original blueprint. This is basically the dictionary definition of a narcissist. They are charming, they are confident, they are so well put together, they always seem to be on top of the world. It's the kind of person you might associate with big success or even celebrity. But underneath that super shiny exterior, you've got these core traits. That lack of empathy and huge sense of entitlement means it's always all about them. Their arrogance is fueled by this bottomless pit of a need for validation, but it's all surface level, and when they get disappointed or criticized, whoa, that rage and hypersensitivity comes roaring out. You hear all that and think, wow, that sounds awful. Why are these people so magnetic? How do so many of us get drawn into their world? Well, it really boils down to the 4 C's. They pull you in with their charm, they hold your attention with their charisma, they blow you away with their confidence, and they just dazzle you with their cleverness and their amazing stories. It's such a powerful combination. It almost feels like you're getting a contact high from being around them.
And this quote from Dr. Amani just nails it. Being with them feels like you're living inside this perfect, exciting, curated Instagram story. But here's the thing about an Instagram story. It's not real life. It's a performance.
That allure is incredibly powerful, but it's not the full picture, not by a long shot. Let's talk about the red flags, those early signs that the perfect facade is starting to show some serious cracks. You really have to pay close attention to these things. They will talk on and on and on about their own life, but the second the conversation turns to you, they suddenly look bored or they're scrolling on their phone. They might even blame their so-called ADHD, an excuse that, funny enough, disappears the moment they're the center of attention again. And this brings us to a really critical mistake so many people make. Confusing all that grandiosity with genuine confidence. They are not the same thing at all, and knowing the difference is absolutely key.
Now, what's so interesting here is the contrast, right? Genuinely confident people, they're often humble. They know their worth, so they don't need to shout it from the rooftops. But grandiosity, that's a performance. It's a 24/7 sales pitch for themselves that honestly gets exhausting really fast.
How does a person even get to be this way? Well, the roots are often planted way back in a very specific kind of childhood environment. A lot of the time, this comes from a really strange, paradoxical upbringing. They were overindulged with praise for superficial things, like how they looked or how they did in sports, but they were completely underindulged when it came to their emotions. Their actual feelings were ignored. They learned a very powerful lesson. My external image is all that matters, and my inner world is worthless. And you know what? Our world today can be the perfect breeding ground for this. Social media becomes their mothership for endless self-promotion, and society often rewards that win-at-all-costs attitude, which just lets them get even more power. This is the crucial part. Even when you see the red flags, even when you feel that emotional neglect, why is it so ridiculously hard to walk away from these relationships? This analogy is just so perfect. It's like a slot machine. You remember that huge jackpot you hit at the very beginning? That amazing love bombing phase. And you just keep pulling the lever, pouring in your time and energy, hoping for one more small win, even as you're losing over and over again. And they use specific tactics to keep you playing. Hoovering is when they suck you right back in if you even try to leave, because they absolutely hate to lose. Future faking is when they promise this amazing future that somehow never actually shows up. And they'll always appeal to appearances, convincing you to keep up the perfect couple act for everyone else. This creates what we call the trifecta of stuck. First, there's hope. Hope that those amazing early days will come back. Then comes the fear. Fear that you'll be alone or that you'll never find that kind of excitement again.
And finally, there's the guilt, that you're the one destroying this perfect image they've built. That combination, it's like an emotional cage. In the end, when you look at all the types of narcissist, the grandiose are definitely the shiniest. Their exterior is just dazzling. But it's so important to remember that research suggests all of that shiny armor is usually protecting a really insecure, fragile person underneath.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Just look around you. In our culture, at our jobs, maybe even in our own families. How often do you see the loudest voice, the best self-promoter, win out over the person with quiet, humble, genuine competence? It's really something worth thinking about.